Greg Mortenson, hero or goat? My name's Haley Lung, and this is my topic presentation. Start us off, who is Greg Mortenson? Greg was born in Minnesota, but at the age of 3 months moved over to Tanzania, Africa, where his parents were Lutheran missionaries. Ivan and Jareen were their names, and they mainly worked as teachers in a growth school there. At the age of 15, Greg and his family returned back to Minnesota. And right after high school, Greg didn't have enough money to attend a university, so he joined the Army, where he served as a medic. After his service, he attended Concordia College in Moorhead, Minnesota, where he had an athletic scholarship in football, but he graduated from the University of South Dakota in 1983. On September 19th of 1995, Greg married Tara Bishop. Now they have a daughter named Amira, meaning female leader in Arabic, and a son named Khyber, after the Khyber Pass. Greg wrote 2 books. Of the most significance were 3 Cups of Tea and Stones into Schools, about his humanitarian efforts in Pakistan and Afghanistan. 3 Cups of Tea is what led to his discrediting, and that was both literally and financially. 3 Cups of Tea. The book is titled 3 Cups of Tea because of a quote from Haji Ali, who said to Mortenson, "The first time you share tea with a Patali, you are a stranger. The second time you take tea, you are an honored guest. The third time you share a cup of tea, you become family." The book, 3 Cups of Tea, starts off with what inspired Mortenson to become a humanitarian. It is the story of when Greg climbed K2. Greg wanted to climb K2, which is the second tallest mountain in the world, in honor of his late sister. However, he was unable to complete it and lost his way and his climbing companions. Greg said he was on the brink of death when he stumbled upon a town, and the civilians there took him in and nursed him back to health so he could go back home. Upon his departure, he noticed the very limited access the children had to a schooling system. They had no school building, nothing to write on, and were otherwise in a very disassembled structure. That day, he promised he would build a school there to repay the people for their kindness to him. Greg and his wife started a non-for-profit organization called Central Asia Institute, or CAI, where people could contribute to help build those schools for illiterate and war-torn places. President Obama himself contributed $100,000 from his Nobel Peace Prize, and other well-known celebrities like Brad Pitt helped contribute as well. 3 Cups of Tea was made in order to help promote this organization and to get the word out about the importance of education, and especially female education, all over the world. The controversies with this began when John Krakauer, at first he was very impressed by the organization and what Greg was doing, and he himself donated to the cause. Later he withdrew his donations because of what he discovered after some in-depth research. He found, once he began looking into CAI, that most of the statistics and the story in 3 Cups of Tea were works of fiction. In 3 Cups of Tea, Greg claims that there were over 140 schools built and operated in the name of CAI. However, when more closely researched, it was found that only 60 schools were actually teaching students, as opposed to being vacant or holding hay or whatever the towns needed. And even less than that were actually receiving funds from CAI. It was also discovered that most of the funds donated were going towards Greg's book tours and assembly travels, as opposed to war-torn towns getting schooling. The after effects of this were the stress and turmoil of the public disgrace left on the families of Mortenson, as well as his co-author David Oliver Rellin. Greg had to go into counseling and developed a heart condition that left him bedridden for a period of time. And unfortunately, his co-author Rellin wasn't as lucky and committed suicide by kneeling in front of a train. Greg's daughter also tried to commit suicide And Greg blames that on himself for not being around and always being traveling while she was growing up. And during that period of time, the stress just built up. It's no question that Greg Mortenson deserves praise. He did build schools and he did do good in the world. Not only that, he's one of the biggest rights activists for girls' education all over the world and has spread awareness significantly since the start of his work. However, it's hard to take someone who takes from their own non-for-profit organization and manufactures stories and proclaims them as fact to be a credible source of goodness in the world. So I'll leave it up to you, Greg Mortenson, hero or goat?